Alright, so good day, ladies and gentlemen. In our video today, we are going to be starting with trying to resolve different kind of questions from the past question, so that when they give you question on conversion, obversion, or contraposition, or there are different various relationship of contradiction, subcontrary, sub-alternation, and contrary, and so that you'll be able to see how to answer them. So when we are done with resolving the different kind of past question, we are going to talk about the existential import of categorical proposition and diagram for representing proposition and their relationship. So the first thing that we are going to be dealing with is different kind of past questions. So I have series of questions here. So let's say, for instance, we have question on conversion, and the question states that we should convert the following: all metals are conductors. So don't forget that the rule of conversion says that you interchange the subject term and the predicate term. For a proposition, conversion is only valid by limitation. So all is going to become what? Some. So we are going to be having some conductors are metals. So if this question is 10 marks and they say convert the following: all metals are conductors, all you just have to do is to say some conductors are what? Metals. Then this becomes what? I proposition. That's all. So let's say, for instance, they give us question on obversion. They give us question on obversion. The first one is conversion. So let's assume they give us question on obversion, and we have question of E proposition. Let's say we have something like no referees are idiots. So the rule of obversion states that you replace the predicate with its complement, and you change the change the quality. So that means if we are having all, it will become no. That is from affirmative to negative, or from negative to affirmative. So this one will become all referees are non-idiots. So let's say we have question on contraposition. For instance, they gave us the O proposition, some, let's say, non-lecturers are not non-idealists. So now the rule of contraposition, if we are to do it directly, states that you take the complement of the subject to the predicate, and you bring the complement of the predicate to the subject. Don't forget that on a normal day, if we are to talk about predicates, the complement of anything, whether the predicate or the subject term, let's say we have a class of boys. The predicate of boys is non-boys. The complement of boys is non-boys. It refers to the totality of everything that is not a boy. So the complement of boys is non-boys. So let's say in a situation that we already have non-boys, the complement of non-boys, it will become boys. So all you just have to do, if the non is already there, you remove it. But if the non is not there before, you put it. So in this case now, that we are supposed to use contraposition to resolve this O proposition. So we are going to be bringing the complement of the predicate to the subject, and we bring the complement of the subject to the predicate. So the sum still remains. So now we already have non-idealists. What's the complement of non-idealists? Idealists. Then are not still remains. Then what's the complement of non-lecturers? Lecturers. So it's as simple as that. So for instance now, this is we doing it directly. Let's try the method of OCO and see whether we are still going to arrive at the same answer. So OCO. The first one, some lecturers are not non-idealists. That's whole proposition. If you are doing obversion for it, obversion states that you change the complement. You change the quality and replace the predicate with its complement. So it will become some non-lecturers are, that is from R not to R, then non-idealists will become what? Idealists. Then conversion, you interchange, some idealists are non-lecturers. Then obversion again, some idealists will become are not, then non-lecturers will become lecturers. So as you can see, we arrive at the same answer, whether we use direct or we use OCO. So now that is where they give us question of whether conversion, obversion, or what? Contraposition. So let's now go to whether they give us questions to determine the truth value of any proposition, when we know a given proposition to be true or to be false. That's when our knowledge of the relationship now come in. Sure you understand? The relationship that exists, whether contrary, subcontrary, sub-alternation, or contradiction. So let's say the question comes in like, don't forget that when we are talking about their relationship, contrary, for instance, is a relationship that exists between two different universal propositions or two different universal standard form categorical proposition of the same subject, the same subject stem, the same predicate stem, but differs in what? In quality. They have the same quantity because they are both universal. And we say that what? The two of them cannot be true at the same time, but they can both be false at the same time. So that means if one is true, the two of them cannot be true, so the other one will be false. But if one is already known to be false, the other one will be what? Undetermined, because the other one can be true and it can be what? It can be false. So let's give us a question that is going to be requiring our knowledge of what I'm talking about. So let's say we have a question like, supposing some humans, or let me just say some H are, that is, some humans are angels, some H are A, is false. Determine the truth or falsehood. Determine the truth or falsehood of the following. Determines the truth or falsehood of the what? Of the following. So let's say A, we have all angels. So let's say all A are what? Humans. All angels are humans. Then B, let's say we have some non-humans. So I will say non-H, that is H for humans. Some non-humans are not non-angels, so I will say non-A. Then C, no angels, so I'll say no A are humans, that's no A are what? Are H. So let's assume that we have a question like this, that it says that what? Supposing some humans are angels is false, determine the truth value of the following. Now, before you can determine the truth value, you have to ensure that the both of them have the same what? The same subject stem and the same predicate stem. This is the A, or the first one. Let me say 1, 2, 3. Sorry. So let's say 1, 2, and what? 3. So the question itself is some H are A, but the first one that we want to discuss is all A are H. So we have to find a way of bringing this H to this place and bringing this A to this place, so that it can be the same subject stem and the same predicate stem. Because if you look at the question now, some H are A is what we are having, and the question that we want to answer is what some all A are H. For us to be able to talk about their relationship, we have to find a way of bringing this A to this place, bringing this H to this place and bringing this A to this place. What can help us to do that? Conversion. Conversion says that what we interchange the subject stem and the predicate stem. So since all A are H, conversion for A proposition is valid by limitation. So this all will become what? Some H are what? A. Conversion. Some H are what? A. Conversion. So since we have already gotten the same subject term, the same predicate term for them, so they say that supposing this I proposition is false, then what is this? Determine the truth or falsehood of this one. So since this I is already known to be false, the conversion of this one also gives us I proposition. So this one too is also what? False. So the grammar that I'm just speaking since is that for you to be able to answer this question, they said determine the truth or falsehood of the following. For you to be able to answer this question, you have to find a way of making sure that what they have the same subject stem and the same predicate stem. For us to do that, all I just did is to what I did conversion, then I bring the H to the subject stem and brought the A to the what? To the predicate stem. But since I'm doing conversion for the A proposition, and conversion is only valid by limitation, so I change the all to what? Some. So if this is known to be false, this will also be what? False, because it's even the same thing. So let's look at the next one. Some H are A. That's the question. Then this one says that what? Some non-H are not non-A. Now, the problem that we are having is that we have to find a way. We have to find a way of bringing what's it called? We have to find a way of removing this non. The non that is there. We have to find a way of removing it. So what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? So let's say if we do contraposition is going to remove the non for us. Contraposition is going to remove the non. Let's try. So contraposition states that what you bring the predicates of the subject, you bring the complement of the subject to the predicate, and you bring the complement of the predicates to the subject. So let's say we have something like some A are H. Contraposition. Some A are H. It's still not looking at the same thing, yes, because we are looking for some H are A, or if possible, we just want the H to be in the subject stem and A to be in the what? Predicate stem. So that's contraposition. It's not giving us what we want yet. Then we do conversion. Some H are A. So it's still the same thing. We've already achieved bringing making them having the same subject stem and the same predicate stem. So it's still the same thing. All we just have to do is to say that if this one is false, then this one is also what? False. So now the next question gives us some H are A. That's the main question. That's the main proposition. Then the question is no H are A. It's still not having the same thing here. So we have to do conversion. So by conversion, no A are what? H will become no H are A. So it's already having the same subject stem and the same predicate stem through conversion. So that is when we can talk about their relationship, whether this one is true or this one is false. Now this is supposing some H are A is false. That is what? I proposition. Then no H are A will be what? This is E proposition. I proposition and what? E proposition. What's the relationship between I and E proposition? Contradiction. And we said that in contradiction, the two of them cannot be both false at the same time, and they cannot be both true at the same time. So if some H are A is false, no H are A will be true. So what I just did now is that I did conversion for this one first, so that they can have the same subject term and the same predicate term before we can be able to talk about the relationship that exists between them. So after achieving that through conversion, and I look at it, this is I proposition and this is E proposition. So the relationship between I and E proposition is contradiction. And in contradiction, the two of them cannot be both true at the same time, and they cannot both be false at the same time. So if I is false, the contradiction E will be true. That's all I did. So let me look at another question before we move on to the existential import of standard form categorical proposition. So let's quickly look at another question. So let's say we have a question like supposing okay, the question is if all socialists, so I'll represent it with S, all socialists are pacifists. I'm representing pacifists with P, is true. So determine the truth or falsehood of the following. Number one, some non-pacifists, that is non-P, are not, some non-pacifists are not non-socialists. So non-S. Number two, no socialists, non-S, are non-pacifists, that's P. Then number three, some non-pacifists, that's non-P, are socialists, that's S. So the question is, if this is true, the A proposition is true, then determine the truth or falsehood of the of the given three different propositions. Now, don't forget that I said before you be able to tell the relationship of whether this one is true or it is false, they have to have the same subject term and the same predicate term. All S are P, but here we have some non-P and not non-S. So we have to first of all find a way to make sure that we have some S are P before we can now tell whether they are it is true or it is false. So if you look at this one very well now, what are we going to do? Contraposition. Contraposition says that you bring the complement of the subject to the predicate and also bring the complement of the predicate to the subject. So we have some S R P. By contraposition, we have some S R P. So if all S R P is true, what is some S R P? What's the relationship between this is A proposition and this is I proposition. So what is the relationship between A and I proposition? That's sub-alternation. So and in sub-alternation we say that if the greater one, if the super-altern is true, then the subaltern is also is also true. So if all S R P is true, then some S R P will also be true. Now the next one, we have to find a way of making them the same thing. And what is this particular statement tell us? We have some no S are non-P. We are looking for a way of making us have S as the subject stem and also only P as the predicate stem. So what can we do here? Obversion. What did obversion state? You change the quality from negative to affirmative. That's all S are Then we replace the predicate with the with the complement. So non-P will become P. So it's just repetition. So if this is true, it's still the same thing. All else are P, all else are P. So if this is true, this is also what? True. Then the next one, the third one, some non-P are S. We are looking for a way of making them have the same thing. So what can we do first? Okay, let's take this one to this place first. So we can do that by using what? Conversion. Conversion. So conversion is going to be some S are non-P. Then we use obversion to remove the non. Obversion. So it will become some S R. Then obversion state that you change the what? The quality. So R will become R not. Then non-P will become what? P. So if all S are P is true, what's the truth value of what? Some S are not P? What's the relationship between A and what? O proposition. A and O proposition is what? Contradiction. The two of them cannot be both false and they cannot be both true at the same time. So if A is true, O will become what? False. So ladies and gentlemen, we've been able to answer a few past questions from the previous year question. So from this place we can now move on to the existential import of categorical what? Proposition. So everything that I've been doing so far is that when they give you question, they will give you instructions to follow, and you have to make sure that you follow the what? Instruction. If they tell you to converse or verse or contraposit any proposition, just do what is being asked of you to do. Then in this question, if they tell you to determine the truth or falsehood of any proposition from a what? A given proposition. So for you to be able to talk about whether it is true or it is false, for you to be able to talk about their relationship, don't forget that whether contradiction, contrary, subcontrary, or sub-alternation, it exists between different kind of proposition of the same subject stem, the same predicate stem, but differs in both quality or quantity, or the two of them at the same time. So for you to be able to do anything, you have to find your way of making them having the same subject stem and the same predicate stem. And how can you do that? Through conversion, obversion, or what? Contraposition. So that's what I did in all these ones now. So now let's now go to the existential import of standard form categorical proposition.